Hello, everyone. Glad to be with you this day, and we appreciate your presence here to worship the Lord with us. It's an honor to be part of this church, and I'm glad to be able to bring you a little bit of a testimony and some of the Word of God tonight. It's unusual circumstances. We're not used to doing this. I've never spoken in front of a camera like this before, but we'll give it a shot. Today, I want to talk to you about something quickly, but something probably that's more important than anything else I can think of, and that is trust. Trust in God. From the time that we are born through the rest of our life, most things we encounter every day is something new, something unknown. And I don't think there's any greater fear to man today, or any time really, than the fear of the unknown. We just don't know it. We don't know what to do. We don't know what it's going to bring. We don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to face it. We don't know how to deal with it. So from our earliest childhood all the way up through our growing up years and into our adult years and even in our senior years, we look for people, we look for things, we look for something that we can trust in, that will give us guidance, will keep us safe, will help us do the right thing in the right way. As a child, we grow up, we look to our parents. We trust that they love us. They always have given us love. They've shown us they've been good to us before. They teach us to eat the right things, teach us to live the right way, teach us right from wrong. As we get older, we go into the school years. We trust our teachers, that they are teaching us correct. They're teaching us how to behave in a more social atmosphere. They're teaching us, again, the laws of the land, the characteristics of different lands, and some of the things that we might face later in our life. But I want to talk to you about something that we have to learn for ourselves, and I guess that is trust in God. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, the writer says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart." Now, why do we need to trust in the Lord? Because we're talking about something here that is not a physical thing. We're talking about a spiritual area. Now, we can trust our pastors, we can trust our ministers, we can trust our Sunday school teachers, we can trust our friends to give us spiritual guidance, but nobody has ever been there on the other side, so to speak, and then come back to tell us what it's like, what it really is, what's really going to happen, what death is really like, what new life is really like. It's something that will always be unknown, I guess, until we get there ourselves. That can sometimes be a scary thing because, like I said earlier, nobody likes the unknown. We tend to want to believe in and trust what we can touch, what we can see, what we can hear, what we can feel. One of the things that's always evaded me and always amazed me is the concept of eternity. Now, I can be here right now and I can look forward and I can understand that every day will lead to another day. I can understand eternity forward because my whole life has been so far an eternity forward. There was a beginning, but there is no end. There has not yet been an end. So I can understand that concept. But the part that bewilders me is the concept of eternity back, having no beginning. We look at things, we look at the trees around us, we look at the grass, we look at the birds, we look at the sky, we look at all of these things and we say, where did that come from? And then people say with the creationism, well, we came from this or we came from that. Well, where did that came from? Well, it came from such and such other place. Well, where did that come from? The concept is instilled in us that we must have a starting place. But the Bible tells us that God has always been. God does not have a starting place. So if we are going to trust someone, why not trust someone who has been through everything, from without a beginning to without an end? And I looked into this and I studied on this a little bit and thought about it. Everything about us as human beings is finite. I am here but I'm not over there. There is a point where I am and a point where I am not. There is no point where God is not. God is everywhere. We're finite in time. I am here now, but I was not a little bit ago, and I will not be here a few minutes from now. But God, as I was thinking, invented time. And I thought back when Moses stood before God and received the order to go back and talk to Pharaoh to tell him to let his people go. And Moses said, well, who shall I tell them sent me? How are they going to believe me? And God said, tell them that I am sent thee. And I thought on that, and that's the only thing God could say, is that God is, I am. And we can say, God is. He is. He didn't have a starting place because starting place involves time, and he invented time. So as I'm on my journey through eternity, I want to look at somebody that I know who has absolute control. And that's only one person. That's God, Jesus Christ, my God. So if I want to make sure that I'm living right now and I'm going to get to the right place and be happy with what happens on the other side, I need to trust in somebody who knows what they're doing. Somebody, the actual person who created the other side, who created all of these things. Who could that be but God? So again, the writer of Proverbs said, trust in the Lord with all of thine heart. The word heart there doesn't mean the muscle pump that's inside my chest beating blood throughout my body. It means my being, my innermost me. It means the me. If I cut off my arm, I'm still me. If I cut off both arms, I'm still me. If I cut off my legs, I'm still me. Me is my soul, I think. Me is who I am. Me is the part that's going to still exist when this body decays, falls away and decays. So with all of what I am, God has instructed me to trust in God, in Him, because He is the one that is guiding me through all of life, through death, through my translation, if the rapture comes before I die, all the way through eternity. And He is the one that I have committed myself to. God, I am in your hands. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I don't know anything that is really important, but you do. So I commit myself to the one and only God. And then he goes on to say, in all thy ways, honor him. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and yield not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him. How do I acknowledge him in all my ways? That doesn't mean to go around saying, oh, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus, you should believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus. Well, that's one way, through our mouth, but in all my ways, in the way I look, in the way I carry myself, in my expression, in the way I speak, in the things I do, in the presence or the spirit that radiates. You've met people when you walk up to them and you just feel something, I don't know about that person. You know, you get a good vibe or a bad vibe. I believe we all emanate some kind of spiritual radiation, maybe, I don't know what it is, but we all have an emanation that can be picked up by somebody else's spirit. We live daily in this world on a physical basis, but we live eternally on a spiritual basis. So no matter what you're looking at, the spiritual things are the really important things. It doesn't matter whether I'm handsome or ugly, big or little, rich or poor, those things are all going to pass away. But my spirit, me, is going to live forever somewhere. So I want to make sure that, number one, I put my absolute trust. If it's something I don't know, if it's something I'm a little bit afraid of, something I'm a little bit concerned about, I can say, look, God, And I'll just be honest, I'm a little concerned about this. This is going on around me. I don't understand it. I'm a little bit afraid. I can see all these bad things, these bad possibilities, but I don't believe that my end is going to be bad because I have committed myself to trust in God. And I know that you know what's going on and you know what you have ahead for my life, and that the end of me, if I trust in you, is going to be good. So I encourage you, whoever you are, if you're a regular church attendee, if you go to church here, you go to church someplace else, or if you've never been to church in your life, you are going to live on somewhere. Your body, my body, all of this that is around us, this worldly, natural things that are finite, are going to all pass away. But you're still going to live someplace. And it's up to you to make the right choice. God gave us the freedom to choose, but He did not give us the freedom of the consequences of our choice. You choose to ignore God, that's your choice, but that choice has consequences. You choose to follow God, that's your choice, and those choices have consequences. So I encourage you, the tendency of our bodies, the tendency of our natural man is to fear what we don't know and to shun the things that are a little scary to us. But remember this, and take this with you. There is a God that does know all about you. There is a God that loves you. Thank God He loves you. He could be a God that hates you, and then we're all in trouble. But He's not. He's a God that made you and me. He's a God that loves you and me, and His desire is good for all of us. So trust in Him. Let God have His way in your life, and the end of you will be good. Thank you, and God bless.